All right, we're about to dive into one of the most expensive mysteries in the financial world, the hidden conflict that really drives those massive market bubbles and crashes. And I'll tell you right now, the cause is probably not what you think. So let's just start with a number, $6.2 trillion. That's the estimated wealth that just, poof, evaporated during the dot-com bubble. A truly staggering loss that just wiped out countless people. And you'd think we'd learn, but just a few years later, it happened all over again. Only this time, it was even bigger. The 2008 housing crisis vaporized an estimated $8 trillion in stock market value. The scale of that is just, it's hard to even wrap your head around. So you've got to ask, right? Why does this keep happening? Are we all just doomed to repeat these insane cycles of mania and panic forever? What is really driving these catastrophic bubbles?
Well, the easy answer, the one you always hear, is that it all just comes down to greed. But as we're about to find out, that's kind of a lazy explanation. The real story is so much more interesting.
See, here's the thing. The people inside these bubbles, the ones buying assets at prices that seem completely crazy from the outside, they don't think they're being greedy or irrational. No way! From their point of view, their actions make perfect sense. So here's the core idea of this whole explainer. The problem isn't some moral failing like greed. It's a huge, fundamental misunderstanding. We tend to treat investing like it's one big sport, when in reality, you have players on the exact same field playing entirely different games, with different rules and totally different goals. Okay, so what are these different games? Let's break down the two most important ones. You've got the long game and you've got the short game. And this really lays out the fundamental split. The long game investor, they're thinking in decades. They care about a company's real fundamental value. The short game trader, on the other hand, they couldn't care less about a 10-year plan. Their entire world might just be the next 10 minutes. They're only focused on one thing. Which way will the price move? It's the same stock, but they might as well be living in completely different universes. And this is where it gets absolutely fascinating. Because once you understand these two games, you start to see how these seemingly ridiculous, insane prices can actually be perfectly rational. I mean, let's take Yahoo, way back in 1999. By any long-term metric, its valuation was completely bonkers. But if you were a day trader playing the short game, buying it wasn't irrational at all. The momentum was just undeniable. If you're only planning to hold this stock for a few hours, the only question that matters is, will someone buy this from me for a higher price later today? And in 1999, the answer to that was almost always a big yes. And that gets us to the key mechanism here. Bubbles really inflate when the market's whole center of gravity shifts. As soon as the short-term traders start dominating the action, the entire definition of what a rational price is completely changes. The time horizon shrinks from years down to minutes, and suddenly, the sky is the limit. Now, the real trouble, the danger, starts when these two games collide, and the players from one side start taking their cues from the other. Just imagine it's the late 90s. You're a long-term investor, and you're watching a stock like Cisco soar over 300% in a single year. I mean, those gains are just hypnotic. And that's when that dangerous little thought creeps into your head. You see this frenzy of activity, these incredible gains, and you start to doubt yourself. You think, wow, maybe these traders know something I don't. You start to feel that intense pressure, that FOMO, the fear of missing out. So you jump in. You buy Cisco near its peak, following the lead of the short-term crowd. But here's the crucial, brutal point. The trader who sold you that share, they might have made a brilliant trade for their game, closing out a profit by the end of the day. But for you, the long-term investor, buying at that price was a catastrophic mistake. You were playing the wrong game. So what's the most important takeaway from all of this? Well, the single best defense against getting caught up in this kind of confusion is to be absolutely crystal clear about what game you are playing. And you know, this isn't just about stocks. Think about careers. For a young lawyer, it might be totally rational to spend a lot of money on an expensive suit and a nice car. It helps them project an image of success that lands clients. For them, it's an investment. But if a freelance writer who works from home copies that exact same spending, it's just a loss. They're playing the lawyer's game, not their own. So, how do you define your game? A great way is to create your own mission statement. Seriously, just writing it down forces you to clarify your time horizon, your goals, your entire strategy. This one right here is a perfect example for a long-term investor. It becomes your personal anchor in a sea of complete noise. Because once you've defined your game, everything changes. All the daily market chatter, the panic, the hype, it all just becomes irrelevant. It's just noise from another game happening on the same field, a game that you have consciously decided not to play. So whether we're talking about your money, your career, or your life, the most important thing you can do is just take a moment and ask yourself this one simple but incredibly powerful question. What game are you playing?